IVM.
Your computer can be compromised in many ways, and all cyber attacks ultimately affect your files and apps by accessing everything that's on your PC. Intel vPro keeps you safe from cyber attacks using the Intel Hardware Shield, which has 3 groups of capabilities. First, advanced threat protection, quickly detecting issues like ransomware and crypto mining. Second, below the OS security, identifying unauthorized changes to hardware. And lastly, application and data protection, preventing malware injections. So, secure your organization's productivity with Intel vPro's hardware-based security. Visit intel.in/ITheroes to know more. Remember, Intel vPro, it's built for businesses. Hi, welcome to a show about crypto. We have with us again Varun Sethi, blockchain lawyer who was with us in August and is now joining us again under, I'm going to call it, slightly different circumstances. I don't think today's episode needs much of a long introduction. I feel like this is either going to be our most listened to or least listened to episode, depending on how people feel about the crypto market in a couple of days. Varun Sethi, I have to ask you, this episode is being recorded with news of the new draft cryptocurrency bill in India having come out. I want to be clear that we are recording before the bill has actually been introduced into Parliament, and this is currently all based on media reports. But if you're joining this episode many months later, the situation right now is that news has come out saying that there is going to be a new crypto bill that is going to do things using words like ban private cryptocurrencies and using words like, we don't know what's going to happen in cryptocurrency, which has led to some pretty spectacular panic selling on the market. There's a lot of conversation, there's a lot of flux, a lot of friends who have had no conversation with me about crypto over the last few months are suddenly like, ab to teri phati hogi na. So Varun Sethi, hi, welcome back. What's going on? Where are we in crypto?
Thank you for having me. And I think this is what we wanted, really, right? We always wanted crypto and blockchain as an industry to be regulated. I think this is a positive step. I look at it very positively because after the Supreme Court judgment, we've seen lots of crypto projects take off from India. And those are global quality projects, people who are able to raise global capital. So when we look at Indian Parliament going forward and proposing a bill, which then eventually would become an act, of course, with negotiation, without negotiations, we are expecting we are then becoming an elite nation wherein the crypto regulations are actually coming right from the Parliament. And this has not happened in most countries of the world. Many other countries, even Singapore for that matter, Australia, only this month came up with a standing committee proposal stating that in case you want to have Australia as a fintech capital, smart cities, and they're also giving tax rebates in case you're using renewable energies for mining bitcoins and other cryptos. So India, I think the first part of that bill, in case you just break it up into 3 parts, it proposes to introduce a CBDC, which is a very positive step. Very few countries in the world, Bermuda for that matter, has a working CBDC. Not many countries of the world have it. So that's
Could you, for our listeners, explain what a CBDC is?
Okay, so CBDCs are Central Bank Digital Currencies. These are currencies which are issued by the central bank of the country. And of course, they have the national government's backing as well. So in very simple terms, think of it like a more usable digital version of the Indian national rupee, which is more flexible, more transparent, and can be moved from one place to another more easily as compared to traditional INR. So CBDC introduction is the first step that most countries would actually do. So this is a very positive thing coming from the government. The second thing is where I think the debate lies, is that when they call that banning crypto, banning all the private cryptos.
I feel like that's been the headline of most stories this week. Like I don't think the discussion's been about CBDCs this week at all. That's been, because the media makes it at this point sound like, and I have no idea whether this is correct or not, and this is where you come in, but the tone in the media over the last few days has been panic. This sense of So
I think we missed out on the CBDC part of it, and CBDC is a very positive step, which means that the government is not outrightly saying that we don't understand cryptos, we're not doing anything in that. This is a very positive step. CBDCs would then pave lots of other policy level decisions for cryptos to come. We are expecting stablecoin decisions as well. We are expecting other decisions on cryptos which are publicly available on a clear, transparent ledger. And CBDCs would actually make many other, just like the success of UPI, we are expecting CBDCs to be a success in the Indian ecosystem, because we already sort of ahead of the race when it comes to digital payments because of the UPI success.
Sure.
Now, the second part is where the private cryptocurrencies are being proposed to be banned. Now, I think that is where the debate is. People are thinking, having their own interpretations of what exactly is a private cryptos. Now, private
Fair
cryptos,
question.
I think, has two connotations to it. One connotation is the global definition of private cryptos, which primarily covers only, say, purely anonymous coins like Monero or Dash or other similar coins, wherein you cannot trace a transaction back to a natural person. So that's purely a private crypto. That is the global general acceptance parlance of what a private crypto is. However, in 2019, the Department of Economic Affairs under the Ministry of Finance actually stated that private cryptos, let us define private cryptos. So India came up with its own version. However, that was only a Department of Economic Affairs definition and a proposed definition only. It did not convert it into law. And they stated private cryptos for us simply means that anything and everything other than CBDCs are private cryptos. Now, this is where the controversy is. That globally we are saying private cryptos means only Monero and Dash, which means that you are totally anonymous. And US has actually banned Monero. Why? Because they are not able to trace a transaction to a natural person, which is right. If India wants to ban Monero and Dash, perfectly fine. Absolutely correct approach. Even though I personally feel there are some use cases there, but those use cases are far less as compared to the risks that are connected to such cryptos. Now, India is actually, when it says private cryptos, and if we pick up that definition from the Ministry of Finance, the Department of Economic Affairs, it's a real world departure from what the global context is. And that is where the controversy is. Now, what people are presuming is that that Department of Economic Affairs definition, if it is adopted, that would then kill the entire crypto industry in India.
It would, right? It would, right?
It would, but I still feel that practically doing that entire holding of cryptos, whether in direct, indirect form, as an Indian passport holder, is impossible. And I would say it would then trigger lots of other things, like it violates in some way or the other Article 19(1)(g) of the Indian Constitution, which allows me to engage in any trade and commerce. So it violates a constitutional right, which can be then challenged in the Honorable Supreme Court. Also, it disrespects the Supreme Court judgment of March 4, 2020, which stated that, the Reserve Bank of India was incorrect in putting a ring fencing ban on converting cryptos to fiat. Now, this bill, if it goes a step further and says that, you cannot even hold cryptos, then it becomes a problem statement. So I feel that the name of the bill is very identical to the February 2021 bill that was supposed to be tabled in the parliament. It did not get tabled. Now, what it means is that I'm presuming that the government in the current form and shape has simply copy-pasted the name of the bill, and thereby the controversy is there. However, in the last 6 months, February 2021, roughly about September, October 2021, lots of things have happened. World Economic Forum came up with a report stating that stable coins are the future. They mentioned about positive regulations pertaining to CBDCs, which India has picked up. Then Australia and Singapore came up with very forward-looking laws. And thereby I feel that even though the name of the bill, the proposed bill, might be identical to the February version, but the content should ideally be different.
Okay. The bill, my understanding is that it also talks about unregulated exchanges, right? Like the bill also talks about unregulated exchanges or markets. What does this mean for people who trade in, not just invest in, but also trade in and speculate on cryptocurrency? What is an unregulated exchange? Like very simply, is CoinSwitch an unregulated exchange? Or are we talking or looking at more decentralized exchanges here? Are those what count as unregulated exchanges?
So I think the bill, by the name of it, does not directly talk about unregulated exchanges, but we can draw inferences about what the government has been doing in the past. So recently, the government stated that unregulated P2P lending is not falling within the RBI protocols, and thereby it should not be allowed.
Okay. So I can't just lend you to Bitcoin. essentially.
Yes.
Okay.
So ideally what they're doing is that a P2P lending between two people is fine. But when you make it a business and that business is not regulated, registered, there's no, people can just make an app, put it on Google Play Store, and then they start crypto lending without any fathering entity, without any self-governing, publicly stated policies pertaining to how and why they are doing it. I think that is where the government is very correct, because that makes the retail investors most vulnerable.
Right.
They give this assurances of 13% APRs and 20% returns on their assured capital. Whereas what is really happening is that the custody of the crypto, the right to own that crypto, is taken by you, taken from you, and then it is actually given to the exchange, and then that exchange can vanish anything. So this is very similar to the risks that the RBI has been talking about in the past as well. And SEBI has also initiated steps to restrict similar applications which just run on a Play Store and there is P2P lending. So government is actually right that the retail investors, the consumers, actually need protection from that perspective. Now, what should be allowed should be, maybe we can draw inferences from Coinbase and Kraken and other similar. Gemini, for that matter, is really doing that. From that perspective, what they're doing is that they are saying that, okay, we don't have a license currently. However, whatever protocols that we follow are publicly stated on our website. So these are primarily self-governing protocols, and those self-governing protocols actually publicly explain that if we take capital, then we are taking either in a fathering entity, that fathering entity is subject to audit. And those audit reports then verified by a third-party auditor confirm that this is what we are holding as crypto custodies. This is our auditor, this is our external custodian, and this is what our protocols are, this is what policies we follow. There are the European Union directives for AMLD5, which is the world's most elaborate anti-money laundering directives, especially for crypto assets. So they follow those mechanisms. Now, in India, we can categorize two kinds of exchanges. One which is central, there's a board, there's a person you can talk to, there's a customer care, there's a procedure, and things and information is publicly available. And then there's another set of decentralized exchanges which just run on an app. You don't know, other than, let's say, a support@domain.com. You don't have any other controlling, or in case of fraud against you, you cannot just report it to anyone else. I think that's where the government is really wanting consumer protection to apply. And for the central exchanges currently, I think the government might have some higher compliances to do. So what the Indian government is primarily trying to do is to categorize self-governing crypto exchanges and exchanges which just exist, whereas the owners are completely anonymous. So the consumer protection efforts by the Reserve Bank of India are absolutely right. We should have a restrictive covenant on the decentralized exchanges. And in case they want to run on a decentralized thing, they should at least have a natural person confirming that he's the one who owns these decentralized exchanges, and the protocols should be followed. P2P lending per se is a regulated entity in India by way of the RBI notification. Similarly, self-governance currently is the norm for central crypto exchanges. They should also be brought under more deeper compliance norms by the Reserve Bank as well as Securities Exchange Board of India.
All right, we are on a show about crypto, and we are talking to Varun Sethi, the blockchain lawyer, about the latest developments in India's draft crypto bill and all things that will follow. Now it's time for a quick ad break. We will be back right after this.
Eventually, you'll see the end of your childhood.
Get accustomed to womanhood.
Enjoy the experience of sisterhood.
Might get to wifehood.
Or not. Choose motherhood.
Or not. You'll learn to define your personhood.
Earn a livelihood.
Change the neighborhood.
And get rid of the falsehood that life post-academia is easy.
So join me, Natasha.
And me, Ayushi.
On a journey from station starting point.
To station, what now?
Next station, Pudin station. And hopefully, Agla station, adulthood.
Fresh episodes out every Thursday.
And you're still on a show about crypto with me, Rohan Joshi. And today I'm in conversation with Varun Sethi, the blockchain lawyer, about the latest developments with India coming forward and passing a crypto bill looking to pass a crypto bill in Parliament. Okay, so then from everything that you said, is it your opinion that the sort of I mean, there's no other word for it, panic selling that we've seen across the markets over the last few days, is more because of just sort of big, scary words that happen to be in the title of the bill, as opposed to because of any underlying intent that's there in the bill? Is it just that the actual buzzwords are bad and that once this thing comes into Parliament, it's obviously going to be up for large amounts of discussion, and then there is a bunch of different legal recourse. So is that what you think? You think that this panic is, I mean, bluntly, do you think that this panic is warranted or unwarranted, in your opinion?
I think this panic, if I analyze it based on whatever information that I've got, or whatever communication that I've done in the last 36 hours, this panic actually is by traders who got lured into cryptos primarily in the last 6 months or so. In the last 6 months, especially maybe in the last 1.5 years as well, since the Supreme Court judgment, we see lots of crypto exchanges, regulated, unregulated, anonymously raising huge capital. And that huge capital, a major chunk of it has gone into advertisement. And that advertisement has resulted in, let's say, a 20-year-old in a tier 4 town in India buy some cryptos without understanding it.
So you're saying all the people that joined the crypto market during the IPL and the T20 World Cup, basically, is what you're saying.
I think that is where crypto got most eyeballs. So yes, that is one source where lots of people got into this ecosystem without understanding the innate technology underlying technology that actually powers this thing, and understanding that the regulations are still work in progress in India and in most countries of the world. So India is not lagging behind, I would say, in regulatory frameworks. However, it's looking at what is going on in East and West, and looking at what is the best that can be done from the regulations from the
Because if I remember correctly, in our last chat, I think you were of the opinion that we're in like the top 15-20% in terms of countries that are sort of forward-looking in terms of at crypto. Do you still believe that?
Oh, absolutely. The current, I would still go back to that judgment of March 4, 2020 by the Honorable Supreme Court. That is one of the most landmark judgments to come out in the space of crypto ecosystem, not only in Southeast Asia and across the globe. And that really put us in the top 15. Now, in the last 1.5 years, what has happened is that people have sort of banked on that Supreme Court 180-page beautiful judgment, picked up that judgment, and then built their businesses on top of it. Now, as a next logical step, they are wanting RBI to come up with some consumer protection norms, maybe some updated KYC norms. Maybe those self-regulating governance can be standardized by RBI or by passing a bill, which gets ultimately converted into an act. Of course, I don't foresee this bill to ultimately ban all cryptos. I still feel that India will not overpower or not overlook the Supreme Court judgment of India itself, as well as whatever developments that are happening all around the world. We've got to give respect that about 36 countries of the world were highlighted and mentioned in the Honorable Supreme Court judgment. So ideally, when the Supreme Court passed the judgment, it looked at roughly around 36 countries of the world. And India, when making an act, should not work only in their watertight capsule. So from that perspective, there would be a global influence on the Indian act as well. And in case, even if in the worst case scenario, even if India says that, okay, let's ban everything other than CBDCs, then I would say we still have legal recourse available. We can go back to the judgment, what Supreme Court stated, as well as public interest litigations. There's now a vibrant community in India. And of course, we've got other options, legal recourses available.
So then so my final few questions, one of which is, given that you mentioned that there is legal recourse and this bill is just going in there, as a lawyer, this is a long process, right? It's not like this bill goes into Parliament on the 29th of November and then on the 30th of November, it's law. That's not quite how this works, right? So this is going to take a while, according to you, like in general?
Oh, absolutely. I think we saw a similar draft expected to get tabled in the Parliament in February 2021 itself. Did not get tabled, then it got lagged. Now, again, it's up for listing. And then it may or may not get tabled in the entire winter session. There are other bigger issues, like Delhi pollution is one. So maybe there is data protection.
Bigger issues in India than crypto? Surely not. I can't think of any.
So there's also data protection bill that is also expected to get tabled here in the winter session. Also,
and that's a contentious and big one, right? Like
yes, that's a big one, and it's been pending for quite some time. And it is now with lots of companies going virtual during the COVID time period. This becomes very relevant as well in the current times. Also, the current bill, especially even in the past bill, they have not been much talks about the taxation aspect of cryptos. We wrote 2 right to information applications to the Income Tax Department as well as the GST Department in 2018. We did not get responses, but we did observe that in 2019, there have been about lots of these income tax notices issued by the IRS officers, especially in Gujarat and Pune. And they are standard notices, 28 questions. We put up standard answers of all those 28 questions on our Twitter for public health. However, there is surely something that the government has collected as relevant data inputs as a result of giving notices to these traders. So there should also be a taxation aspect to it. And because of the taxation aspect to it, I expect that the winter session, even if the bill gets tabled, it will then get most probably dragged to the budget session as well. And there might be some implications pertaining to taxation of cryptos as well. I'm highly bullish in the budget session. Yes, I'm highly bullish on this fact that if the government talks anything about taxation of cryptos, then you're legitimizing it. Sure. And that is where UK law becomes very relevant. Now, India has been drawing influence from the UK law. HMRC, which is equivalent to the income tax website in India, HMRC in UK has very detailed, elaborate, publicly available data on how do you tax crypto assets. They're calling it crypto assets there. What is mining? How do you tax the mining profits? And in case you're trading, in case you're swapping one coin with another, how do you tax all those things?
Sure.
So with those illustrations already available and those references already available, India would surely look at these global developments and then insert inputs into this bill. And I think what we are also expecting, industry level inputs expected from the parliament, even though the government has not taken industry level inputs, we are expecting that in case there's an opportunity, we would surely want to give some suggestions and recommendations to the government.
My final question to you then is, should we panic? Should we not panic? Should we hold? Should we sell? What should we do?
Well,
sell it all, get out, keep some, be optimistic. I guess what I'm asking is the outcome, or is, given all the chatter this week, are we looking at, should we panic? Should we be optimistic? Or is the answer somewhere in the middle where it's cautious optimism, let's wait and see? What's the vibe?
I think every individual can take its own decision based on the strategies that they want to implement for their trading.
No, I'm not telling you to tell people to buy or sell. I'm just saying that in the sense that if you had to, yeah.
Exactly. So when I purely look at it from a legal perspective, all we have is just 3 lines of a proposed bill's name. That's it. We don't have the content. We know that the procedure might take months, if not years.
Oh, Varun, have you never seen the internet tear apart a Spider-Man trailer? 3 words is a lot for the internet to pour over.
Correct. So I think what we're doing currently is that, and when I looked at the markets, it was rather surprising that one news in India actually also resulted in minor manipulation in the market. The USDT, which is the tether against the stable US dollars, was trading as low as 64 in India, whereas the global market was actually putting it at 74.
Yeah.
Now, this also is a cause of concern that a news in India can affect crypto prices. And I would say incomplete news in India can also do that thing. Whereas the exact same asset class is trading at a different value outside India. Now, from that perspective, I would say that we have incomplete knowledge today. We do not know the contents of the bill. Yes, we can speculate about what are private cryptos, what is the meaning of restriction, will there be ring fencing? Is government saying that you cannot convert cryptos to fiat and fiat to cryptos? Is that what they're doing like they did in 2018? Is that what the objective is? I think there are lots of experts out there, and thereby there are lots of opinions. I would say since we do not have data to look and analyze and comment upon it, so currently the best thing is to just hodl it and wait for at least the draft of the bill. I would also like to draw inference to the fact that in 2017, when the GST bill came up, now when you look at the current GST Act in 2022 versus the GST bill of 2017, there is a massive change in what the original bill was versus what the current law is.
Understood.
In a matter of only 3 to 4 years. It has gone through more than 40 amendments in the last 4 years. It simply goes to show that the government introduces a bill and is open to subject to amendments. And those amendments actually are opinions, are suggestions from the general public. We are expecting exactly the same actions to happen for the crypto bill, wherein the government can propose its own thing. I do respect the people who are behind this bill to come up with a more realistic approach of taking inferences from the global ecosystem, global developments as well, and then go forward with the bill. And even after that, the Indian Constitution is a wonderful piece of document. It allows us multiple amendments to a certain bill based on suggestions from the public and the general fraternity. We would like
maybe the Constitution should be an NFT.
Well, the Indian Constitution should indeed, legally can be an NFT. There's just one of its kind. So yes, of course, that's a good one. Never heard that. That's a good one. So from that perspective, I think the only thing that you can do is that you wait and watch for at least the draft of the bill, and then take decision. There are multiple options available, legal recourses available, options to maybe transfer it to a wallet till the time the act comes into picture. You can transfer it to a location outside India legitimately. There are locations available which respect global, let's say an Indian passport holder to set up a company in a jurisdiction legally in countries where India has a double taxation avoidance agreement as well. So those things can be done. So there are lots of options available. I think we are just overreacting, especially because there has been lots of additions, new people coming into the ecosystem who've not seen the vagaries of the crypto world yet.
So there we go. That's Varun Sethi, and his opinion is that you shouldn't just panic sell all your Doge just yet, because you'll be pissed off 6 months from now if you find out that it was Nirmala Sitharaman at the other end buying it. So on that note, thank you so much, Varun Sethi. You have put my mind at ease a little bit, and hopefully that of our listeners as well. My key takeaways from today's chat are: don't panic. We're drawing a lot of inferences from very few words. We don't know what the actual bill looks like. We don't know what the final bill is going to look like. We don't know how long it's going to take to get there, given the amount of other legislative work that has to be done in Parliament. So let's wait and see. That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Varun Sethi, for joining us at this very late hour for this emergency session of a show about crypto. I never thought we would have an emergency session of this podcast, of all things. But this is great. Thank you so much. As always, you have been extremely lucid and extremely to the point, and that's been great. Thank you so much.
Hey everybody, it's been a great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On Advertising is Dead, Varun talks to Paul Ravindranath G, Program Manager, Developer Relations, and Head of Google Accelerator for India. They discuss the startup ecosystem and how Google is enabling innovation through this program. On Shunya One, Sheila Datti and myself talk to Abel Joseph, founder and CEO of Isle. We discuss how Isle is a truly Indian dating app. It's not so much as a dating app as a matching app. It's a really interesting conversation. You should definitely check that out. On Postcards from Nowhere, Utsav uncovers the hidden injustice in India's languages and how it shapes the way we travel and interact with people. On the Life Manifesto, Zarina debunks leadership myths that are popular amongst people. And on Khel Niti, Rajiv Mishra, Nikhil Chopra, and Ayaz Memon discuss Australia winning the T20 World Cup. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. Also, do check out our various YouTube channels. You can catch them on IVM Podcast/YouTube. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors on the network this week: Cred, Bank of Baroda, Quota, CoinSwitch, Kuber, Play Coffee, Intel, and Oxfam India. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Have you ever wondered where the business world is headed? How the ways in which we create, market, and sell to consumers will evolve? Or if we'll ever go back to wearing pants while working? For answers to all of this and more, tune into Advertising is Dead with me, Varun Sethi. Every Tuesday, as I talk to entrepreneurs, leaders, and change makers from across business, media, marketing, and beyond. You can catch all episodes of Advertising is Dead on the IVM Podcast website, app, or wherever you get your podcasts from.